This is a 2025 Epiphone inspired by Gibson custom 1960 Les Paul reissue. That's a bit of a mouthful. First impressions with this, I have to say, incredible in a word. Kind of mind blown really, a little bit. I've owned so many Epiphones over the years, and I actually owned one of the inspired by Gibson custom Les Paul customs in white, last year's model. That was a great guitar, but that had a thick poly finish on it, so it still kind of felt more, I guess, like an Epiphone. The thing with this, and the thing that struck me immediately, was the finish on this. Now, they call this, you probably can't see it very well, but they call this a vintage gloss. It's not a nitro finish. First of all, if it was nitro, they'd say it was nitro because it's a selling point, isn't it? But whatever it is, it's incredibly close to feeling like a nitro finish and close to feeling like a vintage played-in instrument. I picked it up immediately, and as soon as I just played it, without even plugging in, it just feels very, very close to a Gibson. I had a 2010 Gibson Les Paul traditional, so essentially a standard with a thicker neck, that was a fantastic guitar, and for a while I had that for a few years. This is extremely close to that, I'd say on a par with it, genuinely, and I'm not being paid to say that or anything. I've paid less than £1,000 for this. Probably get a used Gibson Les Paul for £1,200 in the UK if you shop around, a good one at that, for that sort of money. And it's up to you really if you want to pay that, or if you want to go for this. I mean, with all the USA hardware and the USA electronics and pickups in this, the feel of it, obviously these are mother of pearl inlays, actual rosewood fretboard, switchcraft switch, switchcraft jack, CTS pots, bumblebee caps, USA pickups, mother of pearl logo on the headstock, open book headstock. With that and the gloss finish, it just is, it's so close to a Gibson now. And if you're looking at new prices, these are on offer at the moment. In the UK you can get them for just under £1,000. You're looking at double that at least for USA Gibson. There's no way it's worth that much more, no chance. I owned, like I say, a Gibson Les Paul traditional from 2010. It was a fantastic, that was a great period, and this is really on a par with that. It really is, genuinely. You got a one-piece neck as well, and it just feels, almost does feel like a Gibson now. Another thing I was going to say was, I owned a Tony Iommi, a Gibson Tony Iommi Signature SG recently. I did a video on it. I'll put a link up to that. The gloss on that, obviously that's a nitro finish, so that felt quite worn. This is really similar feeling. The gloss feeling really reminds me of that. It's quite thin, and like I say, played in, particularly on the top half of the neck here. The one negative for me is the weight. Now, I looked on Anderton's, they've got actually the individual guitars they have in stock, and they specify the weight, so did Peach. Now, the lightest one was 9.3 pounds, the heaviest just over 10 pounds. The same with Peach, I think it was 9.5 pounds. This is 10 pounds. This was from Guitar, so I bought it blind, hoping to get a lighter one. That didn't look out on that, so yeah, that is the only downer. That gets a pound heavier than my Gibson. Anyway, I've rambled on for quite a bit now, so have another look at that. If you want a Les Paul, if you're in the market for a Les Paul, You know, it's totally up to you if you want to pay for a Gibson, if you really want a Gibson, if you've always wanted one. I would encourage you to get one used, because if you're buying a new Gibson Les Paul, there's no way. You're losing money on that straight away, buying it new. You just are. The gap is minute to these high-end Epiphones now. It's, you know, there's just literally barely a gap there. If you're going to buy a Gibson, buy a used Gibson from that period, around 2000 to 2010, they're fantastic. Buy a used one from that period, or go Japanese. You know, Tokai's another option, but again, you have to pay a lot more to get Tokai's with nitro finishes. They come with poly finishes. Okay, so I would encourage you to play one of these if you can, just to get that feel of the gloss, or lack of gloss, that vintage sort of feel they've got on this. Yeah, definitely play one if you can, but you know, this is value for money. It just is, and it sounds fantastic, as you'll see from the sounds and the song I've put up. So anyway, thanks for watching. Do me a favour and like and subscribe, because I've got an extremely small amount of subscribers, and I think over 99% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed. It takes me a long time to make and edit these videos, so yeah, I appreciate that, and thanks for watching. Cheers.